At Christmas, my sister said, "You'll babysit the kids while we travel." I said no, and my family gave me hell. The next morning, they showed up with the kids in suitcases, but found only a note. When they read it, they screamed. "My name is Nina, I'm 30 years old, and I work as a freelance accountant from home." Sounds pretty normal, right? Well, my family thinks I just sit around doing nothing all day. It's been like this for 2 or 3 years now, ever since I left my office job and started working from home. My older sisters are Sarah, who's 37 and has 2 kids aged 9 and 10, and Emma, who's 33 with one 7-year-old. They're both married with the whole suburban life thing going on. Me? I'm single and apparently that makes me the family's free babysitter. My dad thinks the same way. "I don't understand this computer nonsense," he told me last month. "A real worker goes to the office at 8 a.m. and comes home at 6 p.m. That's how it should be." I tried explaining that I earn good money, that my clients depend on me, that I have actual deadlines. But nobody listens, they never have. Being the youngest in this family has always sucked. Everything I got was hand-me-downs from my sisters. Their old clothes that were already out of style by the time they reached me. Their old phones, first those ancient button phones, then their outdated smartphones when they upgraded. When I was 16, I got my first real job at a local store just so I could finally buy something new for myself. Sarah had already gotten married by then, and Emma was in college. I thought maybe I'd finally have some independence. Wrong. "You need to give us half your paycheck," Mom said. "Sarah needs help with her wedding expenses. Half of my minimum wage paycheck." To help my sister who was 7 years older than me and had her own job. But I did it, because that's what you do in families like mine. You shut up and do what you're told. Now here I am, 30 years old, and still getting treated like I'm 16. Every weekend, there's some excuse to dump the kids on me. Emma wants to go out with her husband. Sarah needs a break. The kids need somewhere to stay while the adults have fun. "It's just for the weekend, Nina," Emma always says. They love spending time with their aunt. Sure, they love me, but they're kids. They're loud, they want constant attention, they need to eat every 2 hours, and they want to play games when I'm trying to work. My apartment is tiny, just 1 bedroom and a small office space. When the kids stay over, I have to sleep on an air mattress in my office because they take over my bedroom. I love my nephews, I really do, but I'm not their parent. I didn't choose to have kids. Yet somehow I'm the one who ends up responsible for them every time my sisters want a break from their own lives. The worst part is how my parents act like my sisters are these amazing mothers who deserve all the support in the world, while I'm just the family freeloader who should be grateful to help out. "Your sisters work so hard," Mom always says. "You should appreciate that they trust you with their children. Trust me, they don't have a choice. Free babysitting is free babysitting." Christmas was coming up, and for once, I had made other plans. Real plans. My friends Katie, Jen, and Mike had booked a week at a ski resort in the mountains. We'd been talking about it for months. A real vacation where I could actually relax, ski, hang out with people my own age, and not worry about anyone else's schedule. I started working extra hours to make sure all my client projects would be done before I left. I bought a new ski suit, a proper backpack, winter gear, stuff I'd never owned because I'd never had the chance to use it. It felt amazing to buy something for myself, something that was just for me and my plans. I was nervous about telling my family though. I knew they wouldn't understand why I needed a vacation when I'd just work from home. But this time was going to be different. This time I was going to stand up for myself and explain that I had my own life and my own plans. December 24th came, and like always, we were having Christmas dinner at my parents' house. I drove over with a car full of presents I'd bought for everyone. When I got there, the house was empty except for Mom and Dad. "Where is everyone?" I asked. "Oh, you know your sisters," Mom said, putting ornaments on the tree. "They'll be here eventually." Eventually meant 3 hours later. Sarah showed up first with her husband Tom and their 2 kids, then Emma arrived with her husband David and Tyler. The kids immediately started running around, screaming and playing, and suddenly all the attention went to them. Finally we all sat down for dinner. The conversation was the same as always, work drama from Sarah's office, Emma's PTA meetings, the kids' sports teams. I sat there picking at my food, waiting for the right moment to mention my ski trip. "So Nina," Sarah said without looking up from her phone, "how's the typing going?" "Typing," she calls my accounting work typing. "It's going well," I said. "Actually, I wanted to tell you all something." But she wasn't listening, none of them were. Sarah was texting, Emma was cutting Tyler's food, and my parents were talking to Tom about football. I took a breath and tried again. "I have some news about my holiday plans." That's when Sarah looked up from her phone with this huge smile. "Oh, that's perfect timing," she said loudly. I was just about to tell you, we're all flying to Hawaii tomorrow morning. Everyone started smiling and nodding. Mom clapped her hands together. Dad grinned at Tom. Emma squealed with excitement. They all knew. Everyone knew except me. Yes, me and Tom, Emma, and David, Mom and Dad, we're all going for a week. The flights are booked, the hotel is paid for. It's going to be amazing. My stomach dropped. What about the kids? I heard myself asking. Sarah waved her hand like it was no big deal. Oh, we're dropping them off at your place tomorrow morning before we head to the airport. You don't mind, right? It's just for a week. Just for a week of 3 kids in my tiny apartment while I was supposed to be skiing in the mountains with my friends. I stared at her. You didn't ask me if I could watch them. If I'm even available. Sarah laughed. Nina, come on. You're always available, you work from home. The words hit me like a slap, always available. Because my life, my work, my plans, none of it mattered to them. I looked around the table. My parents were nodding along like this was completely normal. Emma was already talking about what to pack. Nobody was looking at me. I put down my fork. No, I said. The word hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. The silence was deafening. You could hear the kids playing in the living room, completely unaware that World War III was about to start in the dining room. Mom was the first to speak. What do you mean, no? I mean no, I'm not available to babysit next week. Sarah's smile disappeared completely. Nina, this is ridiculous. We've already booked everything. The flights, the hotel, everything. That's your problem, I said. You should have asked me first. Asked you, Emma jumped in. Nina, you don't have anything else going on. You work from home. There it was again, that phrase that made my blood boil. You work from home, like it wasn't real work. Like my life wasn't real. I have plans, I said firmly. What plans? Dad asked, speaking up for the first time. You never go anywhere. The judgment in his voice was clear. In their minds, I was just the spinster sister who sat at home all day doing fake work on her computer. I have my own plans for the holidays, I repeated. Plans that don't involve babysitting. Sarah slammed her hand on the table, making the wine glasses shake. This is unbelievable. Do you realize you could ruin our entire vacation? We can't just cancel everything now. Why not? I asked. You made all these plans without talking to me first? Why is it my responsibility to fix your mistake? Because you're family, Mom snapped. Family helps each other. I almost laughed. Family helps each other? When has this family ever helped me? That's not fair, Emma said, but her voice was shaky. We've always been there for you. When have you been there for me? When I needed help moving to my apartment? When I was stressed about starting my business? When I needed someone to talk to after my breakup with Jason? You were all too busy with your own lives. Dad finally spoke up. Nina, you're being selfish. Your sisters work hard, they deserve a vacation. And I don't work hard? I don't deserve a vacation? It's not the same thing, he said. They have families to take care of. So because I'm single, I don't matter? Because I don't have kids, my time isn't valuable? That's not what we're saying, Mom said, but I could see in her eyes that it was exactly what she was saying. Emma started getting emotional. Nina, please. We really need this trip. The kids love staying with you. The kids love staying with me because I let them do whatever they want while I try to work. Do you know how many times I've had to redo projects because Tyler spilled juice on my keyboard? Or because your kids were fighting so loud I couldn't concentrate on client calls? They're just kids, Sarah said defensively. Exactly, they're your kids, not mine. The room went completely silent except for the sound of the kids laughing in the other room. Everyone was staring at me like I'd grown 2 heads. I can't believe you're doing this, Sarah said quietly. After everything our family has done for you. What has this family done for me? Tell me one thing. She couldn't answer, none of them could. You gave me hand-me-down clothes until I was 18. You made me give half my paycheck to help Sarah's wedding when I was working part-time at 16. You ignore everything I say about my work and my life. You treat me like I'm your personal babysitting service. So tell me, what exactly has this family done for me? Mom's voice was getting higher. We raised you. We fed you and clothed you. That's called being parents. That's what you're supposed to do. Sarah stood up from the table. Fine. If that's how you feel, then maybe you shouldn't come to family events anymore. Maybe I shouldn't, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. Mina, Mom said in her warning voice, don't say things you'll regret. I'm not saying anything I'll regret. I'm saying I'm tired of being treated like hired help instead of family. That's not true, Dad said, but he wouldn't look me in the eye. Isn't it? When's the last time anyone asked me how I'm doing? When's the last time anyone cared about my problems or my successes? When's the last time anyone invited me somewhere without expecting me to provide free babysitting? Again, silence. Emma was full on crying now. You're ruining Christmas. You're ruining everything. I'm not ruining anything. I'm just finally standing up for myself. This is ridiculous, Sarah said. We're not asking for much. It's 1 week. 1 week that I already have plans for. What plans? Mom demanded. Tell us what's so important that you can't help your family. I looked around the table at all their faces. Sarah was furious. Emma was sobbing. Mom looked like she was ready to explode. Dad was shaking his head in disappointment. These people didn't care about my plans. They didn't care about my life at all. They just wanted to know if my plans were important enough to inconvenience them. It doesn't matter what my plans are, I said. The point is that I have them, and you didn't bother to ask. So that's it, Sarah asked. You're going to ruin our vacation because you're having some kind of temper tantrum? A temper tantrum. That's what she called me, finally standing up for myself after 30 years. I stood up from the table and grabbed my purse. Nina, sit down, Dad ordered. We're not done talking about this. Yes, we are. I turned to look at all of them one more time. I told you I'm not babysitting next week. That's final. Figure something else out. Nina, Mom called as I walked toward the door. If you walk out that door, don't expect us to welcome you back. Good, I said, because I'm tired of being welcomed only when you need something. And with that, I walked out of my parents' house, got in my car, and drove home. By the time I got home, my phone had buzzed with missed calls and messages. I didn't even look at them right away. I just sat on my couch, still in shock that I'd actually done it. I'd finally stood up to them. My hands were shaking a little. 30 years of being the good daughter, the reliable sister, the one who never caused problems, and I'd just blown it all up in one night. Eventually I picked up my phone. 7 missed calls, 4 from Mom, 2 from Sarah, 1 from Emma. And the messages were already starting to pile up. Mom, your behavior tonight was unacceptable. Call me back immediately. Dad, Nina, you acted selfishly tonight. This isn't like you. Your mother's blood pressure is up because of this. Sarah, I can't believe you did this to us. You're being ungrateful and vile. Thanks for ruining our Christmas. Emma, I've been crying for an hour because of what you said. How could you be so mean? I stared at the messages. Even now, even after everything that happened at dinner, they still didn't get it. They were mad at me for ruining their plans, not sorry for making assumptions about my life. I turned my phone on silent and went to the kitchen. There was leftover pizza in the fridge, my sad Christmas Eve dinner. While I ate it alone in my apartment, my family was probably back at the house talking about what a terrible person I was. But you know what? For the first time in years, I didn't feel terrible about disappointing them. I woke up early on Christmas morning, my ski clothes already laid out and my backpack packed. I'd been planning this trip for months, working extra hours, saving money, buying gear. I wasn't going to let them ruin it. Before I left, I wrote a note on a piece of paper. I wanted to make sure they understood this wasn't just about 1 week of babysitting. This was about years of being treated like I didn't matter. I wrote, I told you I wasn't available to babysit this week. I'm at a ski resort in the mountains with my friends until next Sunday. I'm tired of being your reliable babysitter and free help whenever you need it. I'm done being treated like my life doesn't matter. From today forward, I'm cutting off all contact with this family. I taped it to the outside of my apartment door and left for the meeting spot where Katie, Jen, and Mike were waiting. You look different, Katie said when I got in the car. Good different. I finally told my family what I really think, I said. About time, Mike said. They've been walking all over you for years. The 2-hour drive to the mountains felt like the longest and shortest trip of my life. Long because I kept wondering if I'd made a huge mistake. Short because I was so excited to finally be doing something just for me. When we got to the resort and I checked into my room, I turned my phone back on. 53 missed calls. Dozens of messages. Even messages from Tom and David, my brothers-in-law. I read through them while sitting on my hotel bed. Sarah, we can't believe you actually left. Our Hawaii trip is ruined because of your selfishness. Emma, come home right now, the kids are asking for you. Mom, Nina Marie, you get back here this instant. You've destroyed Christmas for everyone. Dad, your nephews are standing outside your apartment door crying. They don't understand why Aunt Nina abandoned them. You should be ashamed of yourself. The guilt hit me hard for a second. The image of the kids crying outside my door was awful. But then I realized something, they brought the kids to my apartment anyway. Even after I told them no. Even after I walked out. They still thought I was bluffing. They actually thought I was just throwing a tantrum and would come running back to babysit like always. I scrolled through message after message of them being angry, hurt, confused, and demanding that I come back. Not one person apologized. Not one person acknowledged that maybe they'd been wrong to assume I was available. Not one person seemed to understand why I was upset in the first place. I blocked all their numbers. For the first time in years, I had a week of complete peace. Katie, Jen, Mike and I skied every day. We ate at nice restaurants. We stayed up late talking about everything except family drama. I didn't have to worry about anyone else's schedule or needs or problems. It was the best vacation I'd ever had. When I got back home the following Sunday, the concierge at my building stopped me in the lobby. "Miss Mina," he said, "your parents have been here several times this week asking if you'd returned home yet. Your mother seemed very upset." I thanked him and went up to my apartment. The note was gone from my door. They'd definitely seen it. I felt bad for about 5 minutes, thinking about my parents missing their Hawaii trip to babysit. But then I remembered, they were the kids' grandparents. Babysitting their own grandchildren for a week shouldn't have been a crisis. It should have been normal. 2 days after New Year's, I heard familiar voices in the hallway outside my apartment. I looked through the peephole and saw them all, Mom, Dad, Sarah, and Emma, standing outside my door. This was it, the confrontation I'd been expecting. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Mom was holding my note in her hand, waving it around like evidence in a trial. "How could you do this to us?" she screamed before I could even say hello. "You framed us. Your father and I missed our vacation because of your selfishness. We had to cancel their tickets," Sarah added. "Do you know how much money we lost?" Emma was crying again. The kids kept asking where Aunt Nina was. "How could you hurt them like this?" They all started talking at once, calling me selfish, ungrateful, arrogant. The word arrogant kept coming up. Apparently standing up for myself made me arrogant. I stood in my doorway and listened to them vent their anger and frustration. I let them get it all out. When they finally stopped shouting, I said calmly, "Did you read the whole note?" They all looked confused. "The last sentence," I said. "Did you read it carefully?" They all looked at each other, then back at the note in Mom's hand. "I wrote that I was cutting off all contact with this family," I said when none of them answered. The silence was deafening. You could see the realization hitting them one by one. "You don't mean that," Mom said, but her voice was smaller now. "I do mean it. You don't see me as a family member. You see me as a convenient person to dump your responsibilities on. You see me as a free babysitter, nothing more." "That's not true," Emma protested. "We love you. Really, when's the last time any of you called just to talk? When's the last time you invited me somewhere without needing me to watch kids? When's the last time anyone in this family treated me like my opinions or feelings mattered?" They couldn't answer because we all knew the truth. "Nina, please," Mom said, and now she was starting to cry. "We're family. Family sticks together. Family respects each other," I said. "Family asks before making plans that involve other people. Family doesn't treat one person like hired help." Dad finally spoke up. "Maybe we made some mistakes, but you're overreacting. This is ridiculous." "Overreacting? I spent my entire childhood getting your leftovers, your attention, your resources, your respect. I've spent the last 3 years being your backup child care plan without ever being asked if I wanted that role. And you think I'm overreacting?" Sarah stepped forward. "Okay, maybe we should have asked first about this week. But you didn't have to disappear. You scared us. I told you exactly where I was going in the note. And I told you I was done being used by this family." "Used?" Emma was getting emotional again. "We never used you. We thought you enjoyed spending time with the kids. I do enjoy spending time with them, but not every weekend. Not when I'm trying to work. Not when you assume I have nothing better to do with my life." Mom was fully crying now. "Please, Nina. We can work this out, we can do better." For a second, seeing her tears almost broke my resolve. But then I remembered all the times I'd cried alone in my apartment after being dismissed or ignored or taken for granted. All the times I'd felt invisible in my own family. "I'm tired of being the family afterthought," I said. "I'm tired of being the one who always has to sacrifice for everyone else. I'm tired of being ignored until you need something from me." "But we're your family," Dad said desperately. "This is what families do for each other." "No, Dad, this is what I do for you." "What has anyone in this family ever done for me?" The silence stretched on. Even they couldn't pretend anymore that this relationship had been equal. "I want you all to leave now," I said, pointing to the elevator. "Nina, please," Mom started. "Leave, and don't come back." They all stood there for another minute, looking shocked and lost. Finally, they turned and walked toward the elevator. Mom's sobs echoed in the hallway until the doors closed. After they left, I called down to the concierge. Please don't let any members of my family into the building anymore, I said. Over the next few weeks, relatives I barely talked to started calling me. Aunt Carol, Uncle Jim, my cousin Rachel, all of them trying to convince me to make up with my family. I didn't listen to their guilt trips. I just hung up on them. Then my family started posting old photos of me on social media. Pictures from when I was a kid, with captions like missing our Nina so much and love you always, baby sister. I didn't respond to any of it. My birthday came in March, and for the first time in years, I celebrated exactly how I wanted to. Dinner at a nice restaurant with Katie, Jen, and Mike. No family drama, no kids running around, no one making me feel guilty for wanting to enjoy my own birthday. When I got home that night, the concierge handed me a package. Expensive handbag, beautiful flowers, card signed by everyone in the family. The next morning, I called a courier service and had it all delivered back to my parents' house. I didn't want their guilt gifts. 4 months passed, 4 months of peace. No unexpected babysitting requests. No family drama, no one treating me like my time didn't matter. I started feeling better about myself, more confident. I took on bigger clients, raised my rates, even started dating again. Without the constant stress of family obligations, I had energy for my own life. Then I got an email from Sarah, a long email. She wrote about how the whole family regretted what happened at Christmas. How they'd been talking about it at every family dinner since then. How they realized they'd been wrong to ignore my feelings and take me for granted all these years. She admitted they'd been treating me unfairly. She said the kids missed me and asked about me all the time. She said she missed me too. I read it 3 times. For the first time since this all started, someone in my family had actually apologized. Someone had actually acknowledged that they'd been wrong. I thought about it for 3 days. Part of me missed them too, especially the kids. Part of me wanted to believe they could change. But I also remembered how good these 4 months had been. How much better I felt about myself when I wasn't constantly being used and dismissed. Finally, I wrote back, just a short email. I'm not ready for reconciliation yet. I need more time to figure out if I want you back in my life, and if so, what that would look like. When I'm ready, I'll contact you. Please don't contact me again until then. I sent it and felt relieved. I wasn't slamming the door forever, but I wasn't opening it either, not yet. These days, I'm living my life on my own terms. I talk to friends who actually care about me. I date when I want to. I take vacations without asking permission. I work with clients who respect my expertise. I've stayed in touch with a few relatives who supported me through all this. Aunt Carol eventually came around, and my cousin Rachel told me she was proud of me for standing up for myself. Do I miss my family sometimes? Yeah, I do, especially the kids. But I don't miss feeling invisible. I don't miss being taken for granted.